Welcome to this week's Real Estate Deal Breakdown. My name is Greg Helbeck, and I've been a full-time real estate investor now for 10 years. I've done, at this point, probably 400 transactions. I've bought and sold a lot of properties, done a lot of wholesaling, rentals. That's going to be the topic of today. Fix and flips, you name it, land deals. So if you get value from today's video or podcast, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share the podcast if you're listening to other people so more people can hear this message. Today, I'm going to break down a real estate deal that I just signed yesterday to refinance over in Wappingers Falls. I'm going to tell you about the numbers and how this was an absolute home run rental property, a true BRRRR, as they say, despite these high interest rates now in the economy in 2025. And I'm going to give you the skinny on it. So what ended up occurring on this property, and this is a this is a condominium rental that I own. I actually own another property that I did the same exact thing on in the same complex. And Brett, who works with me, who's my partner / acquisitions guy, bought another unit in there. So we actually did a 3-pack deal. I kept 2, he kept 1, and we got banging prices on these things. So anyway, this one was one of the 1-bedroom condos. I found out about the property through a mailer. Brett negotiated with the owner. We bought all these 3 condos. The way that I bought the property in the beginning was I actually paid straight cash for the property because there was a problem with the hard money at the 11th hour. So I had to come to the table with pure cash, bought the thing for $87,500, and I owned the property with no mortgage for like maybe 2 weeks. And once I bought the property, I went to one of my hard money lenders and I said, hey, I want to refinance 90% of my purchase on this. So, I'm only in for maybe, $15,000 or $10,000 with closing costs. And then eventually I'm going to want to refinance permanently into like 30-year debt on a DSCR loan. So first step was I bought it cash. Second step was I had the hard money lender come in and basically give me 90% of my purchase price in proceeds, which is cool, which is tax-free. So I got most of my money back on that. I think I left about $12,000 to $15,000 of cash in that deal because any hard money lender for the most part is not going to give you 100%. So now I'm in it for, let's call it, $15,000, right, max. And there was already a tenant in place. He wasn't paying market rent at the time. He was paying like $1,000 a month or something, which is not good. So I called him and I said, listen, you can stay or you could go. If you stay, I'm going to raise the rent to $1,500 because the real market rent is like $1,650, $1,700. He was like, oh, I think I'm going to leave. So then he ended up realizing that that was still cheaper than everything else. So he stayed. So now he's paying $1,500 a month. He's been there for a while. I didn't have to put any work into the property. It was already in good shape. And, all is good. He paid late a couple times, but, part of the game. And I got HOA payments on that. I got tax payments. I got the hard money payments. So I think at the end of the day, it was probably making, I don't know, $100 a month in cash flow, which really I don't care about because I got the thing for $87,500 and it was worth $190,000. So after 5 months of, just collecting rent, paying the hard money payment, I was like, okay, I got to refinance this thing. I need to, go from short-term money into long-term money. So I actually reached out to the same lender who gave me the hard money loan to basically get 90% of my basis back after I paid cash originally. And I said, can you appraise this? I want to get like 60 to 70% loan to value and hopefully get some tax-free money on the permanent refinance. So he said, okay, cool. Had to pay an appraisal again, which sucks, but it is what it is. This time, when I first got the property under contract and bought it, the appraisal was at 160. But then when I did the appraisal again on the permanent refi, it came back at 190. So obviously some higher comps sold in between that 5-month period. So now this property that I thought was worth 160 got appraised for 190, which makes sense at this point because it's a really good area. And it's only a 1-bed condo. It's like maybe 800 square feet. So now I can ultimately get the same loan to value, but the value's higher. So ultimately I can get more money out of this property. So we agreed to do a $123,500 loan. That was 65% of loan to value, which still means I have a bunch of equity in that property that I essentially got for free because I bought it at a discount. And the way that I'm doing, I'm just going to do the numbers on the computer. So the 123.5 is the new loan that I just signed papers on yesterday. The first loan that I got was 78,750. So the cash available in this case is 44,750 minus like 10 grand in closing costs and fees. So really my net availables 34,750. And remember, I have 15 grand into this. So when it's all said and done, after I pay my basis back, I'm getting $19,750 in tax-free cash. Now that is basically profit, right? Because the $34,000 is what's coming to me. I have $15,000 in basis on the original purchase. And now after I pay myself back, I'm getting $19,750 in pure tax-free proceeds. Now, why is that amazing? First reason that's amazing is that that's all house money, right? I have none of my own money in this deal now. This is a true no money down real estate deal, as they say on those TV commercials, because I bought it at such a discount. There was so much equity there. I could use the bank's money to essentially pay myself back, take a profit tax-free, and the property's still cash flowing like $200 a month, or maybe $100 a month at this point. So this is a home run BRRRR. This is a best case scenario BRRRR deal, because a lot of people talk about BRRRRing properties, and it was really good in 2020 when the interest rates were like 2%. But now that the rates are 7%, it's a lot harder to do this. So you need to get a good property in order to make this make sense. So what are some lessons you can learn from this deal that you can apply in your business? Number one, when you're doing like the BRRRR strategy, it really only works either in markets like Seattle, where you can put extra units on the property to increase its value and increase the rental income, or it works on like mid to cheaper properties where the rent is going to be a lot higher than your overall loan basis. So in this case, my new loan basis is $123,500, and the market rent is really $1,600 to $1,700. I'm getting $1,500. That's over a 1% rule, right? So I'm getting a very high rent based on my current loan to value with $123,500. So if you have basically a rent of 1% or greater on your rent to value, it generally can work as a true BRRRR, because there's enough meat left over after you pay the expenses compared to the rent you're getting, where you can still keep the property. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is that when you do a cash out refi, I'm not a big fan of levering the shit out of it. Like, I could have gotten 75% and if I wanted to, but ultimately that's going to give me less equity in the property to either sell or line of credit or whatever. If I buy the property at the right number, I like to go 60 to 70% max loan to value. In this case, it was 65%, because I personally always like to leave a lot of equity in these properties so I have more room. So that's lesson number two. And lesson number three, if you're out there marketing, doing off-market deals, mailing, pay-per-click, cold calling, et cetera, you need to keep these properties that are home runs, because this is a true no money down deal. Getting $20,000 of tax-free refi proceeds is the equivalent of making like a $35,000 wholesale fee, because you don't pay taxes on debt, right? You don't pay taxes on money you borrow. You just pay taxes on money you earn. So this is how you turbocharge your wealth. This is how you get rich. This is how you get rich with equity. And this is how you get the tenants to pay the property down and ultimately own these things free and clear one day and make big cash flow. So hopefully you got value from this. If you did and you're in the Hudson Valley and you want to wholesale me a house, send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com. I'll see you on the next REI deal breakdown. Take care.